Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Season 2 of So Tell Me with Phil Bhojwanay, the show where questions about society and utter stupidity are based on my mood for the day. My guest today is comedian, podcast host, and musician Andrew Steiner. Andrew's the host and creator of the podcast The Riddle of the Sphinx, a psychedelic variety show. In addition to all of that, he told me that he would like me to mention that he is also a Buddhist disciple. Welcome to the show, Andrew. How are you? What's up with the Buddhist disciple thing, my friend? I mean, you don't look like a Buddhist to me. You're Jewish, aren't you?
Yeah, born Jewish. I wouldn't say I'm a disciple. I'd say I practice Buddhist meditation.
Yeah. Really?
But yeah.
Okay, I thought you were sincerely messing about with that. I mean, you sincerely do that. I thought you were just fucking around with me, like you are without a top and underwear.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have lived in a Zen monastery in Japan, and I've done a bunch of retreats, and
wow.
Yeah, I was more serious about it than I am now, but it's still a part of my life, and I still practice when I can.
That's awesome. I mean, which part of Japan were you in?
Okayama.
Okinawa? Wait.
Okayama.
Okayama. Okay, whereabouts is that exactly? I mean, how close to Tokyo?
It's not far from Hiroshima. It's like Western Japan.
It's not far from where you say? Okay.
Hiroshima.
Hiroshima. Nice. Very nice. So, when was this? How old are you now?
I'm 30. This was when I was 21. I was living at that monastery.
Very nice. You're 30. You say you look like like you're 45, my friend. I mean, with no hair. I've got the same thing going on, but with a beard. Look at you. You look like a fucking Jewish gangster.
How dare you.
You're a comedian, right? You can take a joke. You're having water, but you're sitting in your underwear. It doesn't make any sense. Have a whiskey, for Pete's sake. All right,
I have some weed right here.
Go ahead, smoke up.
Smoke.
Smoke up. We had a guy on episode 5 do the same thing. He was smoking up blunt. Remember Malone McFly? Smoking up a blunt. He had a bunch of chicks behind him. It was all weed and everything. It was the same thing. So now we have a repeat, I guess, happening.
Well, I'm gonna smoke up halfway through. That way they'll be like, "Oh, this is Andrew sober," and then this is fucked up.
Absolutely, my friend. I mean, speaking of fucked up, how are things in New York City ever since Trump got elected? I mean, Trump has been inaugurated in the White House. How are things over there? Here, it's pretty full on with the marches and whatnot.
I haven't run into any of the marches. I haven't attended any of them. Not because I'm a Trump supporter, just because I'm a little bit apathetic towards politics at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been protests and there's some political fervor, and I guess I'm for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's a weird time in America. That's for sure.
It is, but I mean, you don't really give a shit, do you? I mean, you just do your comedy and you take things as it goes, don't you? I mean, you're not really fussed about these things.
I do give a shit. I'm scared. I am scared for the future. I often play with the idea of moving down to Australia.
Oh, you don't?
No one's gonna nuke you guys. Okay.
I'm not so sure about that. I mean, we had a bit of a debacle over here last week, didn't we, Alex? With there was a gun shooting actually with a guy who went nuts with doing donuts in the city. And you see his face like this happens every day in America. That was the look he just gave us.
You have the equivalent of crime in your country as we do in one of our better cities.
I agree with you. And you know what? I actually spent 4 months of my year in Australia. I actually live in Singapore and Vietnam because that's where pretty much I was born in Singapore. I work in Vietnam and I work in Australia because I got another show in Vietnam going on. So for me, this is sort of like a second home. It's not exactly home, but when I heard about the story where this nutcase sort of rammed his car into a baby's pram and literally the baby flew up into the air and died. That came as a shock to me. Of all places in Australia for that to happen was pretty shocking. I'll tell you that much. I mean, even that you'd have to sort of agree with, you know?
Did the baby die before it hit the ground?
How will it die before it hits the ground? That doesn't make any sense, Andrew. I thought you were a Zen master.
The baby flew up in the air and then died. You didn't.
You can't die in the air.
No fall.
See, now this brings me exactly to his podcast because this is what his podcast, as they say in America. Your podcast show is about, it's all rubbish, isn't it? I mean, you guys talk nonsense. I heard one of the episodes. It was you and a bunch of other friends of yours. It was just talking nonsense. I mean, there was no topic at hand. It was just whatever pops into your head, talk about, right? That's pretty much what the show is about. Or is there a proper sort of format to it?
There's a format,
Yeah,
for sure. There's sketches, there's segments.
There's segments and sketches. Yeah, I'm just messing about with you. Please explain to the 5 audiences I have in Australia what the show is about.
It's kind of like a psychedelic variety show.
Yeah.
Not necessarily psychedelic in the fact that we're taking psychedelics, though usually we're either smoking weed or drinking.
Yeah.
But psychedelic in the sense it's not normal or everyday reality. It's altered reality.
Okay, and what you'd have about 3 or 4 guests on the show, and they're all friends of yours, and you guys chime in on different topics and segments and sketches that you do together.
Yeah, sometimes I'll have one guest though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we there's a loose theme, but there's mostly I try to write sketches around the personality of the people on.
Makes sense.
Not always comedians. Sometimes it's just characters, friends of mine who I think are funny, and sometimes it's comedians, sometimes it's musicians.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, all the messing about aside, I'll be honest with you. When I actually listened to your podcast out of boredom, and it took about an hour of my time, which I quite enjoyed, to be honest. In the end, it was actually pretty good. You got a very good voice on your show, because I think it was something about you. It almost sounded like you were chanting some satanic verses as you got on from the very beginning of the show. I don't know what the fuck you were doing, but it sort of worked. I mean, it was so weird. It was psychedelic. That's exactly what it was. It sort of freaked me out for like about 20 seconds in. I'm like, do I want to listen to this or not? And then your voice sort of got me hooked on it. And I was like, okay, I'll have a listen. And then eventually, I'm like, this guy's pretty funny. It's on Facebook he's not funny, but he's actually funny on the show. So that's you for me.
Cool. All right, I'll take it.
You take what you can get these days, don't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, where do you perform in New York? I mean, what clubs do you play at when you have a gig?
Mostly New York Comedy Club, random bar shows.
Yeah.
You know, I've done a few other clubs, but New York, I'm like past there, so I do comedy there, late night.
Mm.
I'm not very high up the totem pole. I've only been doing comedy for 4 years, and I've only been living in New York City for 2.
Where were you prior?
So, where am I from?
Where were you prior? Yeah, where are you from in America exactly? You're not born in New York, I'm assuming.
I am born actually in
you
New York
are?
City.
Okay.
But I've lived in Israel. I've lived in Seattle. Spent most of my time just outside of the city, though.
Nice. And what? Tell me a little bit about Israel, because I've always wanted to visit. It's a beautiful place, I hear.
Yeah, it's beautiful except for the ethnic hatred. You know.
Kindly elaborate further on that, if you don't mind.
I mean, I don't know. I have lots of family there, and I'm not against Israel existing as a Jewish state, but I'm also not anti-Palestinian, and
Right.
I understand that they suffer a lot, and there's horrible things done to Palestinians. So I'm not really on either side completely, but I don't like that people hate each other in any
Fair enough.
sense.
No, I agree with that, and I guess that's why you sort of don't even get into the whole politics, do you? You just sort of stay away from it, but you do care, like you said earlier, which is I respect that.
I tend to take the opposite side of whatever the other person is taking because I see there's truth in both. You know.
Fair enough. That's a good way to look at it. I mean, I'm with you on that. But what made you get into comedy though? I mean, comedy is very political at the end of the day. There's a lot of undertones to that. I mean, what is your comedy all about? Because I mean, clearly your podcast isn't political, but there's always going to be undertones of it, isn't it?
I mean, I think the absence of talking about politics is, I guess you could say, is political.
Mm.
There's definitely a lot of comedians who don't talk about politics at all.
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld.
And occasionally I do talk about politics, but I wouldn't say I'm a political comic. So I'm still finding my voice. Like, I tend to get bored with whatever I'm doing. If I'm doing anything too long, any style of comedy too long, I get very bored with it.
Fair enough.
So I'm still figuring out my balance.
Well, 4 years is still sort of it's almost still in its infancy stages, you know. Because I've been doing it for 17, and I started when I was 15. I'm 33 now, and still nowhere with it. I mean, that's why I sort of took a back seat and went into directing and went behind the scenes. But I get up every now and then, but it's just It's just taken a different turn today. I think it's so the market's become so saturated you can't find any voice anywhere, so it's a bit difficult. But speaking of voices and whatnot, you also are a musician, are you not? You play what, jazz?
I don't really play anymore. I sometimes compose for my podcast, and sometimes I do like little musical sketches on my podcast. But really, I don't play seriously.
So what, no musical instruments at all?
I mean, I mess around.
Yeah. Oh, you got it in front of you. Can you play us some? Can you play something for this horrible show that you have in your underwear? Because I can't see you in your underwear. I can see you topless, which is pretty sad. But the man is doing the show in Tommy Hilfiger underwear of all things. Good lord. And he's got what? Is that a piano in front of you?
I don't practice.
Say that again.
Practice. I feel most comfortable improvising lyrics over someone else playing. Because then I don't have to multitask.
Wait, what instrument's in front of you, though? Is it a piano or a keyboard? What was it?
Yeah.
Sorry?
It's an upright piano.
Let's have a look
at
it.
Upright piano.
Upright piano. Oh, very nice. It's right in front of you. So you play the piano. I've always wanted to learn the piano. I mean, this is the piano, I think, is one of the finest instruments that there is, isn't it, Alex? my guy, my sidekick over here has no interest in the show. He's sitting over there like you, dead, falling asleep. Can't be bothered. I mean, guys, give me something to work with over here. Both of you guys are just sort of like hanging me today. You know what I'm saying?
Oh man, yeah. Yo, tell your dude to play some music and I'll improvise lyrics.
Fair enough. Can you do that, please, Alex? For Pete's sake, for the love of God, as David Letterman says. All right, he's gonna do it for me today. One song. All right, and then you chime in. All right, he's gonna go get the guitar, and then you're gonna chime in as well, Andrew. Come on.
Cool. That sounds good.
All right, there we go, my friend. There we go. Now the show is spicing up a little bit.
That's right. Maybe I'll smoke weed right now.
Do it. We're about 14 minutes in. Yeah, 14 minutes in already, actually. Wow. That's pretty quick, my friend. Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. This show's gonna get this show reminds me of you remember there was that sketch on SNL called, what was the Jimmy Fallon thing with Horatio Sands where they were students in a college room in a dorm together? What was it called? Jared's Room or something?
I don't know.
It reminds me of that exactly. This sort of thing right now reminds me of that right now.
This lighter is fucked up. Like, it only goes on super high.
Yeah, well. This is your jam, and we're gonna. Alex is just coming back right now, so he plays the. Oh, by the way, yeah.
I'm fascinated with Vietnam and Singapore. By the way, like, I really want to do comedy in that part of the world.
Yeah, well, it's really picked up. Vietnam's a little bit. If you do what you just did in Vietnam right now, that's gonna get you thrown out of the country. But you gotta be. There are a lot of restraints and constraints over there. But I tell you this. Asia has really picked up in terms of comedy, and you're no stranger to Asia. You've been to Japan, so you know how it's like. But Japan is a different ballgame. It's all sort of weird.
I've been to Thailand, Nepal, India, Mongolia,
wow,
China. Yeah,
you're a very well traveled man, aren't you?
I've been. I was. Now I'm not.
What stopped you? The money, the comedy, and paying the bills, is it?
Yeah, that too. But also just like. It's hard to get a career going if you're moving around all over the place.
Oh, trust me, I would know. Yeah, I would know. But you finally got two gigs in two different places, and I'll tell you more about that shortly. Alex is back with Alex, by the way, is actually a musician at first. He was his band called Slowly Slowly just played at the Australian Open on Sunday, was it? Last Sunday at the Australian Open they had a gig, so that was kudos to him for that. But here he is with the guitar, and you're gonna jam with him, right? We had a deal, so he is in right now. I'm stepping out for the moment on the side.
No, you're standing.
No, okay, I'm standing as well.
You're gonna take a verse.
What? All right, so
I'm gonna just try.
I'm not the kind of guy to do that, but. All right, so you guys can see each other. I'm just gonna take a back seat, and my boy over here is gonna do his thing.
What do you want?
Just pitch me a soft, an underhand pitch, man. Just like do like. Not too many chords, not too fast tempo.
Alright, gotcha. Here we go.
I'll be born, and I have died. I have smiled. And I have shit directly into your grandmother's face.
These guys
Your
improvise.
grandma ate it. Like a champ. She ate my shit. And she didn't even catch a cramp. I didn't shit in anyone's grandma's mouth. I only shit in my friend's grandma's mouth. So consider yourself lucky. And if you don't, why don't you go take a bath?
What was it? Sing again. One more verse. Go ahead. Finish off the song.
Okay.
Go on.
They say penile implants are not for everyone. Implants are goddamn for every single one of us.
Stop playing. Let him go on by himself. Perfect. There we go. We got him with the well done. There we go. You got 3 claps from me, and even a clap from Alex of all people. For wow. You are not just a comedian. You are an improviser as well, aren't you, my friend? That was pretty good. I was very, very impressed. That the weed. What are you literally smoking right now? That is proper weed.
She has some good weed. I don't even know. I mix all my weed together. I like save it and then I mix it all together and I don't know what the fuck I'm smoking.
Jeez. Well, I had no idea what we were singing about either, but that was good. Whatever it was. Jesus Christ. I don't think we can even top that right now after what he just did. What more am I going to talk about? We got to close the show, but before I close the show, Andrew, my friend, thank you for coming on. On the show, I have a question that I ask all my guests before I close off, and that is, you might like this actually. All right, the question is, as a society, what were we? What are we now? And what do you see us going into the future?
Okay, what we were, bunch of selfish assholes. What we are now are a bunch of selfish assholes who are realizing we're selfish assholes. And in the future, we're probably all going to be dead. Because it's not going to quick enough. We're not going to realize quick enough.
The answers are getting better and better as every show goes on. Yeah, Alex? I mean, that was a good answer. I didn't see the last one coming, but the middle one coming, but that was good, my friend. Well done. I still can't believe after the weed that he just smoked, he's having water to go with that, but that's a bit weird, isn't it? I'm not even sure. Is that not vodka? There we go. Well done, my friend. There you go. 20 solid minutes of Andrew Steiner material. That's the riddle of the Sphinx for you. By the way, you have a website called what was it? Weird Ball, was it?
Weird
Ball, and that is you can find Andrew on that. And what do you have? Gigs on that? Your show? What else is on that?
That's about it. Like random videos I've made, some stuff I've written. Yeah, my podcast, basically.
Nice. But by the way, everyone who this show actually is increasing in audiences by the numbers. It's skyrocketing, and with Andrew on, we're gonna get a lot more views. Anyway, but
I'll share it on Instagram. I have like 10,000 Instagram followers.
Well done. So I'll send you the link right away once we edit. But your podcast show, by the way, all jokes aside, I really enjoyed it. The Riddle of the Sphinx is a good show. I hope it picks up, and I hope you carry on with it, because you got to just keep on keeping, my friend. So well done on that.
Thank you. And I have a big podcast coming out tomorrow.
Right.
Do you know Zach Amico?
No, what's he, Japanese?
No, he's Italian. I guess he's Italian, but he's like a roast battle guy.
Ah, nice.
Like he's one of the roast battlers, like most famous guys in the country. He's like really gaining steam, and he was on there with Ryan Hoffman.
Nice.
It's a good episode.
So that's tomorrow. Okay, so we'll look out for that. Sounds good, my friend. Because I mean, I used to do roast comedy, was my thing. I haven't lived in America since I was in Chicago, so I haven't kept track because I've been down in Vietnam. But where I've had to refine my comedy a lot more, so I haven't kept track of roasting and whatnot. But I'll definitely keep a lookout for that. But on that note, my friend, thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it, and let's chat soon, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks for
All
having me.
right, take care, Andrew. Cheers, my friend. Bye. Well done. Now he plays the piano. There we go. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.